Hey, what's going on, guys? Dan here with Two Dudes. So today I want to talk a little bit about how to successfully run a million dollar business.
Selling on Amazon has absolutely changed our lives. You want to know something? We're going to help you guys get there too.
All these people are talking about wanting to sell you a lifestyle. We're here to sell you a life.
Rico and I talk a lot about, the successes and failures we've had coming from the Shopify game and eBay game and now getting into the Amazon game. It's not easy managing the stores and the growth that comes with it. It takes a certain type of person to be able to handle those. And, as I've stated multiple times over, Rico is basically the brains behind the operation when it comes to money-making schemes, how to figure out how to make money here and make money there. And my job in all of it is really to kind of manage it, understand how to manage the finances, manage the wealth, manage the taxes, manage the bookkeeping, manage the people helping us make money. A lot of that stuff kind of falls on my shoulders. While he's busy out there trying to figure out exactly how to make money, I'm busy trying to figure out how to make sure the money, is managed correctly, and that's the two sides of business that I feel like, having a partner really helps. I created a video about, partnerships in general, they're really important. Being able to trust somebody with a side of your business or business operations in general takes a serious amount of trust. I think you can agree with me on this one. If you're doing it by yourself, it becomes exponentially more difficult. You might most likely will have to look at, bringing on contractors or, employees, somebody to handle the books for you, somebody to handle the taxes, somebody to handle the day-to-day back office stuff. Back office operations are as important, if not more important, than the amount of money you make or the schemes that you use to make money. It's not easy handling that much money coming in because, remember, as a business grows, so do the expenses. If you're making $1 million a year in a business, you probably have a considerable amount of expenses. Especially for a business that's small, that's a startup that's growing. You're continually spending that money on making the business bigger. You're trying to grow that business, and as you grow that business, you're going to be spending more money. So you start looking at different ways to grow the business, like maybe looking at business funding over here, or you're looking at cashback credit cards over here, something to provide you a little bit more wealth and assets to help grow that business, whatever that business may be. It doesn't need to be just an e-commerce business, but if you're looking at running a bakery shop or a restaurant, you have to pay employees to make the food, and then employees to deliver the food, and employees to clean up after the food, and there's so many different ways that you're going to be looking at spending the money to make more money, right? And how do you handle $1 million business? Well, first off, what is $1 million business? Besides the obvious that it's a business that makes $1 million. You're looking at a business that makes a little under $100,000 a month. So it's, still a relatively small business. And then that $1 million business may not, maybe gross. So if you're grossing $1 million a year, you think about it as a lot of money, but, in all assets, it's still a growing business. It's still a small business. You probably don't have a whole lot of people working for that business, depending on what the business is. And then dealing with that, that influx of capital, right? Like, how do you manage that? Is it a consistent and steady stream of income? Is it one month you'll make $150,000 and the next month you make $50,000? It really depends on the type of business that you're running. And then being that person that takes care of the business, that understands, when the money comes in, how do we divvy it out? Where is it going? Is a portion of it going to the business itself for reinvestment strategies? Are we taking some of that money and putting it in a Safeway fund that we can use for further expansion? Or are we taking it for ourselves? Are we taking it to pay employees or contractors? What do we do with that money once we get it? That is essential to being a business owner, is understanding the amount of money you're taking in and the amount of money going out. One of the tools that we use a lot that helps us out is QuickBooks. Xero is another one. I mean, there's a lot of other tools out there that can help you with analytics, and that's the beauty of the 21st century, is being able to look at those analytics, being able to understand, what your profit margin is, how much you're actually making off that $1 million that you're bringing in each year, how much is going out, what net you're operating off of, if you're net zero, net negative, net positive. Understanding all of that is, it can be difficult. It's probably my own fault, but I really don't discuss a lot of these things with my business partner. I do sometimes kind of bring him into the business making decisions, but handling the money is my responsibility, and my responsibility is not the only responsibility with the business, but more so I've been tasked with that responsibility, much like maybe the person on the other side of this camera is also tasked with that responsibility. And it's nerve-wracking, right? It's still nerve-wracking for me. As we see the business grow, the responsibilities of the business grow, and you can't fool yourself into thinking that you're going to be able to do it by yourself all the time. The more and more money that comes in, more and more money that goes out. Maybe you have like monthly subscription fees for different software, and like QuickBooks and stuff like that. Maybe your product costs have increased or decreased, and you need to really keep an accurate picture of what the business is worth at all times, so you can make your monthly commitments. And understanding how to manage that, even for like $1 million business, is quite scary. There's a lot of people on the other side of this that are probably thinking like, well, I'd love to own $1 million business one day, and absolutely agree with you 110% that you should want to own that type of business. But you're not going to jet set right to the $1 million right away. And if you do, how do you handle that growth? In order to have a business that makes $1 million means that you're probably going to have to need $1 million to make that, or at least a subset of it. It's not easy to scale that quick, but if you do over time scale up to a 7-figure business, along the way, you're going to learn different tips and tricks. If you scale yourself appropriately, when you see the traction kind of like this, that's great. And you'll have a chance to grow with the business, and that's the biggest piece of it. Growing with it. Understanding there's different needs for the business versus personal, and then there's other tools out there and firms that can help you grow quicker. And taking advantage of those because you have capital laying around is huge. That's how you grow the business. A good business owner knows that a growing business is not necessarily profitable right away, and reinvesting that money that you get each month back into the business, whether it be employees to help you run it and grow it quicker, and not being selfish and taking all the money for yourself, is probably the biggest key on all of it. The business is much like a baby, and over time it'll grow legs to walk on its own. But until that time comes, you really need to, take care of the business, care for it, feed it, help it grow, nice and strong, and that's what Rico and I have been able to do. And granted, we made mistakes along the way, and I'm not perfect by any stretch, and nobody expects you to be perfect, So take it easy on yourself as you grow with your business. Keep it in here that what you're doing is all for that business. I've said business probably 1 million times in this because that's what I'm talking about, right? It's exciting. It's almost like every single day being Christmas, especially if you're in the retail side of things. You want to see that money coming in, and you get addicted to seeing that cash flow. That's the sexy piece of running something like that. Whereas the non-sexy piece is handling the money, making sure that your commitments are met, making sure that the business is on track for expansion. It's growing consistently, and being able to deal with the ebbs and flows, and being able to predict how much money you'll have the next day versus the next month and next year, and charting out the path forward. That it's essentially being the captain of the ship. And it takes time to understand how to do it. There isn't a course out there that's going to teach you to become a perfect business owner, because it just doesn't exist. And if anybody's marketing that here's the blueprint of being a perfect business owner, they're probably lying to you. I would never market something like that. But there are tips and tricks along the way that each business owner develops in their portfolio that they can give to you to become a better business owner. Hey, by the way, at X point along the time, you may see this, do this. And that's essentially what I'm trying to teach you guys is there are tips and tricks along the way. There is no one-stop shop for every business, because every business is different. Every business grows at a different rate. What worked for person A may not work for person B. And that's something to just to keep in mind if you're just starting out with creating your first business, or if you have a bunch of businesses and you're trying to tie them all together, and maybe sometimes you're looking at each night, you're looking at the books and balancing them, and you're kind of lost and you don't know where to go. There's always a solution. It's almost like a math equation. There's going to be a solution to that. Don't ever feel like asking for help makes you weak, because I've had to do it. I've had to lean on people that that have owned multiple businesses and have made multiple millions of dollars over and over to get a little bit of guidance here and there. But the best part is being able to chart that path on your own. Yeah, some people are going to give you a pat on the back and say, like, you're doing a good job, and even when you fall, you're going to be able to pick yourself back up. But that is the biggest piece about being a business owner, is that you get a chance to see the success for your own eyes. That's what I love about it. Each and every day I get a chance to look at this, these businesses that are growing that we own, and I just can't help but be excited about it. It's seeing something become successful, being, setting myself apart from the people that have failed. I'm not saying that the people that have failed are miserable failures. That's not the term I would use. I mean, but understanding that my business did not fail in the first year, the first 2 years, and is continually growing, is continually getting stronger and healthier, and eventually one day, maybe this mega machine that can fight all the fights for me, and being something that I can hand off in the future or sell. It's the best feeling in the world is doing something like this for yourself. So, owning a 7-figure business seems all glamorous and has a lot of glory, and it really does. I can guarantee you that you're going to be very, very happy about it, but you have to understand that there's more to it than just the numbers coming in or the numbers you can show people. It's handling those finances correctly, managing it like it was you, because they have their own credit scores, they have their own lines of credit, their own loans, their own credit cards, and all those things that may not be fancy that people can neglect, and you may be offered this $500,000 line of credit, and you're like, oh my God, I'm rich. And it's like, no, just because you could doesn't mean that you should. So there's a lot of things, people talk about business ethics, right? And there's ethical things to do and non-ethical things to do. And I think if you understand the difference between the right and wrong, which you will learn over time as you grow, and the growing pains that come with it, then you guys will absolutely be successful business owners. You'll be sitting on this side of the camera telling people that you can do it. You can do it. So, as always, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, you can reach out to myself or Rico. We're available on Instagram, Facebook. But speaking of which, follow us on Instagram. We got some really good tidbits coming out on that all the time. That some good motivational aspects and tidbits of knowledge that we're dropping. And subscribe to us on YouTube. We're always got this kind of content coming to you guys for free. So you can watch us, hopefully listen to us and gain some knowledge in the long run. You can reach us on there as well. And then, of course, as always, you can reach us on Facebook. So, follow us as much as possible. You can look for us in the Dropshipping Academy. We're always around to help you guys out. That's what we're here for. We're here doing it for you guys. Everything that we've learned along the way, we want to share with you guys, to help you become better business owners, to either start becoming a business owner, which would be nice if you haven't already, and that the barrier of entry getting into becoming a business owner is a lot smaller than you think. So, all right, guys. Well, until next time, I will talk to you later.